Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Jerry Trades back at another bank video, and today we're gonna go ahead and jump into one of the biggest movements we're seeing in the stock market. Honestly, I've seen in the last previous 3 quarters, almost year really. AMD and Tesla stock, Nvidia holding up SPY back up to brand new all-time highs. And this was a spectacular sight to see even so early, right? Like, it's only 2026. Many other individuals that are keeping up with me, like, there's a lot more time in the year, and by Q2 we're already at 740 a share on SPY, new all-time highs. We have Tesla pushing back up today, single-handedly carrying up SPY, going from $418 a share to $450 a share at the top. I didn't go ahead and trade Tesla today. That was just an outrageous move, and I did not want to be on either end of it. So I understood the markets are very volatile today, waited till the very end to trade Tesla, because clearly we had a very aggressive move to the upside, and that was going to be, coming with some selling pressure near some point of share price, which I initially thought would be around that 450, just keeping, with those whole number kind of perspective. Now, when I go into the market for today, what I really want you guys to notice is this particular behavior here. Look at Nvidia. Nvidia reaching brand new all-time highs today. For those of you guys that don't know what Nvidia is probably one of the top 3 most expensive companies in the stock market. So its share value moves a lot of the S&P 500, a lot of the Vanguard 500, a lot of the QQQ index. A lot of tech is going to be moving with Nvidia. So it's kind of a guide. So Nvidia immediately, at market jumping from $213 up to $222 a share. That's an impressive gain from Nvidia in a single day. Nothing really we've seen before that aggressively. But what I am noticing this pattern that I called and mentioned to myself early morning was, look at this right here. So I don't know if you guys paid attention to my last video, but in my last video I mentioned that AMD, in my opinion, is going through some sort of a meme stock approach by retail investors. On the other, I guess you can say, video going into last week, first week of May, a streamer in the kind of like, I don't know how to describe this niche, this community, but just like lifestyle, went ahead and bought AMD live in front of an audience of, I believe, 20,000 people, 200,000 people, an enormous audience. And now, once you see those patterns, there's a quote out there that says, when the taxi driver tells you to buy something, it's a little too late. So I heard this and I'm like, meme stock buying is kind of a very, very popular thing going on. Let me share with you guys these tickers. Look at Beyond Meat. Ticker symbol BYND. Beyond Meat. Let's bring this up to the big screen here. Beyond Meat back in early April was trading at 60 cents a share. All right. Now the 21st of April up to $1.50. That's the first time they've done this year. Now check this out. Look at what happened last year. And this is meme stock buying. These very low capital penny trading, not penny companies, but low capital, low barrier to entry, below $5, below $10 companies. And they just kind of get streamed out there. Some of the more popular ones that maybe you guys were victims to is like Dogecoin, Shiba, GameStop, AMC. All of these social media marketed investments left many investors without any money. Now, am I saying AMD is one of these companies? No, this is an actually very fundamentally built company for the long term, executing perfectly on building out our future. But this buying behind it, this aggressive, I feel like, kind of overvalued share price right now, it's driven by many unexperienced retail buyers that banks look at as liquidity. For those of you guys that don't know what liquidity is, they know that retail's gonna buy, so when they sell, they're taking their money, and now when retail wants to sell, they buy. And that's the torment that they go ahead and do, and I'll just us normal day-to-day individuals. And they're much better at it than we are. So you have to know how to sometimes catch on to these patterns, analyze the market through these kind of lenses sometimes to keep yourself prepared for the worst case scenario. Now, with this meme stock buy here, I'm going to show you a couple examples. We had one previously on October 2025, right? Back at 60 cents a share on Beyond Meat. In October 17th over to October 22nd, in 4 days, went from 80 cents a share, 60 cents a share, to $8.50 a share. Bro, you're talking about over 10,000%, 100,000%. Extreme manipulation, and this is all kind of meme stock buying. Excessive buys on assets that don't really have much concrete value to them. Now, when we go over and jump to AMC, this is a historical one. Many individuals got introduced to option trading and investing through some of this meme coin buying. You know, this is how I honestly found out about trading. Someone told me buy GameStop. And I did, and I exited for a profit. And then after I got into the Ethereum kind of world, and it took off for me. But back in 2020, I want to say, GameStop was trading at a low of $9.40 a share, right? Here in January, look at this. By January 4th, she was at $370 a share. January 8th, 2021. Now, June 8th, $380 a share. It was a little bit like off to the left. June 8th, $380 a share. Bro, massive manipulation. Later, you know, keep in mind, some people were still buying at $380 a share thinking it would go higher. Bro, those investors never got their money back. So these are investments that you have to be very careful with. You know, look at GME. I want you guys to see, I think I showed Dodge. Let's go ahead and look at Dogecoin. Well, I'm not sure if this is it. I can't really show the cryptos on here. They're going to be a little bit, let me see. I don't know, these ones are kind of weird because they were trading for like pennies at some point. I don't even know which one I'm really looking at. I'd imagine this thing. Look at the value of these meme stocks, these meme kind of assets throughout the period of their lifetime. Back in February 2021, March, trading at below if a penny. All right? Social media comes in, influencers come in, mass media comes in. Boom. Goes up to 70 cents. From below a penny. Remember, people are buying over here for less than pennies, literally fractions of pennies, and they profit when these assets go to 70 cents, significant amount of returns. You don't need a high market cap, you just need to be the investor that caught it very early. And some investors, you know, being early to the noise made it, but many that caught it late never seen those those capital returns, those, you know, those marketed returns that everyone was getting. You know, they caught it at the end. And these kind of behaviors happen now, I believe, more frequently in the market with social media advancing, you know, becoming more of an influence. You've seen in the month of April how Donald Trump was able to manipulate markets by simply tweeting about the war. Oh, we have a ceasefire. Iran even returning social media posts saying we have no contact with the government. Markets were extremely volatile in the month of April with this war. Even March was horrible. So that's what we are seeing now, the influence from social media. So today, you know, this performance from the S&P 500 over the last week has been driven by a sector known as microchips and memory chips and manufacturing capabilities around the chips that power the computers that are able to run ChatGPTs, all the AI models that are out there, Claude, Gemini. I think you have, Azure from Meta. These are models that take very, very high-tech chips to run. This isn't your normal Intel or your little MacBook from 2002. This is now very sophisticated, I guess you can say, compute power that's needed. So there's a lot of demand behind them. people are projecting demands of north of 1 trillion, 2 trillion by, like I said in my last YouTube video, I believe 2030. So that's in the next 5 years, a recurring revenue of minimum 1 trillion. So that's absurd growth for a company. So now when you're incorporating that, you have to now understand this from the long-term perspective, because investors are buying now for the long term. Despite share prices, which I honestly have been very bearish in the market, because this type of behavior is very rare. It's not commonly seen, and more importantly, it's a bit overextended. These companies have gone up significantly in such a short amount of time. That's not normal behavior by any means. Pay attention to AMD's share price. Back March 30th, $194 a share. Now, literally just a month later, almost 2 at most, $465 a share. Doubled, on its way to damn near triple. That's insane. And that's behavior that's not commonly seen in these markets that you have to be conscious and aware of. So seeing this market today, do I think we're near the bottom? I used to, that's why I've been very bearish. This thing continues to just run and just rip up with the kind of narrative behind this demand. But like I mentioned, this buying, you have to be you can say, you have to just be a little bit prepared for the worst. I would say just prepare for the worst case scenario here. And it's very aggressive. Like, it by no means should have been this much wow, like how much capital was added in market cap to this company is absolutely insane. I want to go ahead and bring up that market cap. Let's see if we could find that right there. AMD market cap on March 26, 2026. Current market cap 748 billion. I'm trying to see the market cap for March. I don't think it'll show me the market cap, but whatever. Let's keep it simple here. A lot of money was going into this stock very quickly, and now what's happened today? These stocks are starting to top out. You've seen AMD begin to reject today off of this 470 level, hard down back to 460. You've seen AMD, Nvidia, 222 rejected back down below 220. You've seen Meta fall below 600 first time in 2 weeks. You've seen Microsoft hold herself consolidating, not able to push up. Google falling below 400. But look what ended up coming up. As all these other are falling, one other is gaining. And none other than the monster herself, Tesla. Now, this is something I want you guys to pay attention to. Why? Because most of beginner traders are beginning to expose themselves to companies or assets like ETFs, simply because contract prices are cheaper. They're more affordable. It's a less barrier to entry. They are known for being very volatile, so can provide very generous returns if timed correctly, if entered correctly. So with this being kind of the narrative behind a lot of beginner investors' journeys, I want you guys to understand how the behavior of these ETFs is affected by the broader picture of what they're made up of. Remember, an ETF is simply one portfolio with multiple stocks in them. So let me go ahead and jump over to S&P 500's top 10 holdings. Wow, what the heck? That's it right there. 7% Apple, 7% Nvidia, 6 and almost 0.5% of Microsoft, 3.5% of Amazon. Meta platforms, remember, these are higher, more expensive shares. So despite them not being a broader percentage, there's still a high amount of market cap. So you have to be able to understand that through that lens as well. Tesla, being very expensive too. Very high premium to this company. $445 a share makes up 1.47%. Remember, AMD is not in these top 10 percentages, but is AMD in the S&P 500? There it is. You'll see it right there. AMD right in the top 15 of the S&P 500. Now, how much of it is it? Exactly. I don't think it tells us here the exact percentage of the AMD, how much percentage of S&P 500 is AMD. But now, I want you guys to pay attention here that they don't need to be an exaggerated amount of the S&P 500 to have an influence, an impact on the S&P 500. Because today, NVIDIA did push up the S&P 500, AMD pushed it up, but when they began to reject, SPY didn't follow. SPY continued to go up, driven primarily by Tesla's buy behavior for the day. And this is how you guys begin to, boom, connect companies' behavior to now how the S&P is moving. It's not just trying to predict where the S&P 500 is, it's trying to go deeper into the S&P 500, looking at the top 10 holdings, maybe going down to the top 15, and understanding, is there outlier momentum in either of them? You know, this is a bit of an outlier momentum. 418 all the way up to 448. We're talking about $30 in share price gained in a single day. You're seeing contracts today. Absolutely insane opportunity here at SoCal Trading Group today. I called out Tesla 440 calls at 6:40 a.m. in the live trading channel. Contracts are going for $33 at the bell. Market closed out for $2,000. You're telling me you could take $33 into $2,000 in just one trading day? So for those that think that you need a lot of capital, sometimes opportunities like these present themselves in the market, and you having that community around you, that education, that experience, you'll be able to be a part of them. And now you don't need to leverage too much capital, but you can also get your share of the pie. And today I had some of my biggest winners. You know, my buddy Art right here left with more than $3,500 in profit. My buddy Brandon went ahead and closed right here on more than $4,500 in profit. And it was a very good day for us here at SoCal Trading Group. But now it's a lesson I share with you guys on this market recap to look deeper in the picture. Begin to look into the top 10 holdings, understand these behaviors, these patterns that happen in the market, so you too can begin to become more knowledgeable, more strategic, not given so much on the FOMO, right? That it's going to continue to go up and you fall victim to these maybe very aggressive tops, these very aggressive buying, some of these meme stocks, some of these aggressive behaviors oftentimes leaves investors or traders at the top. When these things begin to come down, you do want to be able to be that in the back of your head. Learn how to hedge and protect your investments through markets like this. And I hope this video is able to find all of you guys well and help a lot of you guys kind of get a broader view of the market and a better understanding. And if you guys ever want to go ahead and join a community that's deeper into all this content and context, I'll be glad to work with all of you guys. Feel free to reach out to me. And I hope to see all of you guys on the next video. Leave a like and subscribe. Jerry Trades at SoCal Trading Group, over and out.